422 infrastructure management. This is Mark again. Yeah, so can everybody hear my voice and also see the slides? Okay, thank you, Wai Ching. Yeah, so let's get started. I think today, we will have the decision theory analysis, and we will also have the following tutorial. It's just like about the course content for today. And I also would like to discuss something about the group project with you guys later, probably. And and I know that all of you probably are also busy with preparing your presentation about your final year project, right? So so we were gonna study on time today that to talk about I would say decision making for infrastructure management. So we were gonna cover kind of different perspective of the decision making for today. That we will cover the expected monitoring value, which is called the EMV. We will also talk about EUV and also the decision tree and the AHP, kind of like multi-criteria decision making. Okay, and so before we really talk about those techniques, and I think I also forgot to record. Okay, now, so before we really talk about those techniques that for decision making, I would like to give you even more background information that why you need to learn for those. All right. Remember that we already talked about a different perspective for the project, that if we want to make the project success, and of course that we want to make it a project make it as possible, as closer to the project planning, right? In the perspective of the scope, about the cost, and also about the schedule, right? We want to make it closer to the project plan. And then we also talk about how we can make the decision making to choose the different kind of alternatives that whatever that based on your objective, and we will gonna select the projects based on the lowest cost. We will kind of also have the highest profit. We also talk about cost benefit analysis last week, right? So we talk about those kind of decision making criteria. But other than that, have you also think about in the reality, how can we really make the decision making? And then what are probably not only single criteria that we were gonna consider, right? Because when we talk about a trade-off, when we talk about selected alternatives, that we always, from the previous lectures, that we always use this one single criteria, right? We just compare with the alternative with the dollar value, whether it has higher profits or whether it has lower cost, so that we choose that alternative. Okay. However, there are also other kind of things that we really need to think about. Like, for example, the project may be not just like follow us what you expected from the project beginning to the end, like what we talk about the project control, right? So that for these kind of things, that when we want to do the more deeply decision analysis, we sometimes that we would like to perceive more, like for some future situation. That is why we want to also talk about something like the decision tree formation, is that we were gonna also to guess that, okay, what will be the possible outcome in the future. It's not only think that, okay, that those alternatives will just go there as we expected. We were gonna also think about that, okay, where are those uncertainty? Where are other kind of external factors, whatever, like environment, about social, about weather, natural, or whatever like that. All right, so that we will kind of like, if we want to consider that, then before we make the decision making, okay, also that we still can convert those kind of alternatives that into dollar value, but we can consider even more. All right, so that's why we're gonna talk about the EMV criteria and decision making decision tree here. Okay, so I will also gonna show you that, okay, how can we really do that? And then, so for decision analysis, the first step in the decision analysis process is the top problem formulation. That a decision problem consists of three components. That we will have the decision alternative. We talked this before, right? And the state of the natures and also the resulting payoff. So you can see that from here we will consider more not only about the alternative itself. We will also consider the other kind of possibilities. So the decision alternatives also are the different possible strategy that the decision maker can employ. So the stages of the natures refer to the future events not under the control of the decision maker, which may occur, and the states of the nature should be also defined so that they are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. So how can we do that? Is that we will gonna introduce you to building a decision model using decision tree formation. So the decision tree is a chronological representations of the decision problem. So each decision tree has a two types of node. Okay, just imagine that. Okay, we will draw something based on this kind of basic framework. So that we will have the two types of nodes, like the round nodes corresponding to the state of the nature, while the square nodes corresponded to the decision alternatives. All right. So the branches leaving each round node represented the different states of the nature, while the branches leaving each square nodes represented the different decision alternatives. All right. So at the end of each link of the tree are the payoff obtained from the series of branches making up that link. So we were gonna use this kind of nodes and also branch to really link all this kind of the relationship, all right, from the starting point to the end point, which is the results, the possible result, and also the payoff, so that you can really know that, okay, what will be those kind of summing up of the result, and then you can compare with all the different kind of alternatives within this, and then choose the best decision. Here we comes with a basic example one, that a contractor succeeded bidding for a contract at the tender price of the 20 millions, and he estimated that there are three possible outcomes in completing the contract. All right. So that if we want to link this part to the previous things that we learned, is that, okay, we didn't really think about what are those possible outcomes. We also did not really think about those kind of possibility or probability, right? So that we were gonna also couple this kind of idea into that. So for example, for this contract, there may be three different kind of outcome. The other contract, the other the tender, then will be also the different kind of outcome. So that if we can consider all this kind of situation, then the contractor can actually really make a better decision making, right? So then for this one, you can see that he estimated that the three possible outcomes is are like the actual construction cost is 15 millions, so that you can get a profit for the 5 million with a probability of the 20%, which I think this is I mean the better situation that you can earn more profits. However, that you can see the other kind of possible outcome is that one is the actual construction cost is the 17 millions, and so there's the profit is 3 million with a probability of the 65%, or the actual construction cost is 19 millions, so the profit is only 1 million with a probability of the 15%. So that you can see now you come up with these three different kind of possible outcome, and then our task is to express the above data in the form of the decision tree for the contractor. So how can we do that? Then we can just do we have decision node, which is the square node, and then it seems that we only have a single layer here. We only do one decision, means that, okay, the contractor has won the tender, won this contract, so that, and the tender is of the 20 millions. And then you can see the trend node now can be separated to three different links that, for example, we just mentioned 20% of the chances to win, to have the 5 million profits, and the 65% chances to have 3 million profits, and also 15% chance to have the 1 million profit. All right, so that And then you can also see the triangle now here. We have the outcome now. And yeah, so if we want to know what would be the expected benefit, then we can just use, for example, 5 million times 20%, 3 million times the 65%, and also 1 million times this 15% and sum them up so that we can know that what will be the expected value, expected income from this tender. All right, so that's a good. So this is just a very basic decision tree for formation. All right. So that the decision node is kind of the branching point in the decision tree where the alternative actions can be taken. So that referred to just the last example. Yeah, we know that this contractor already won that contract, have the tender, so that will be have different kind of outcome. And then so that chance node is branching out from an action is that which is the branching point in the decision tree where the various possible outcome occur. Okay, so we also think about the three possible situation, okay, from previous example. And for the outcome node, we know that the corresponding to the each branches from a chance node set, which is the outcome node. So we know that, okay, based on different kind of chances, and then the contractor can won like those kind of certain amount of money. Okay, just based on different kind of possibility. All right. So then that will move to the next example, I think, which is the more complex. Okay, not only more complex, much more complex than the previous example. However, then now through this example, then you can know how we can do for decision tree, and then how can we really calculate it, and then to select it, which decision making that we would like to do. Okay, and then now we won't really compare with the two different projects. Okay, like remember that what we have in the previous uh, lecture is that okay, we will have different kind of project and we will gonna compare with them. However, for this one, it's more like okay, we started doing something, and then through the uh, project processes, we may need to do some decision making for doing some changes. Okay, and then what we'll show you for this example is that there will already a construction site. And if we meet with some extreme weather, like for example, typhoons or something like that, and then what should we do that during this kind of weather condition? All right, so that we will still also need to make some decision, okay, during this kind of project uh, like construction stage. All right. So that, however, for this kind of decision tree, like I just mentioned before, that we can also still use it for compare with it two different kind of even more alternative when we do the project selecting. Okay. But yeah, but we still we were gonna talk about this single project first, and then so for this example, a contractor is performing some work in the coastal area and which is subjected to destructive the typhoon conditions. So during the course of the construction work, and he has to provide a storage for his plant for a week. All right. So then the contractor can either leave the plant or on site, or he can move it to a typhoon safe storage place. Okay, so that now through the first paragraph, then you can already notice that you should notice that okay, there are two decisions that you can the contractor can select whether he want to leave the plant there or move to a typhoon safe storage place. Okay, but how? Like how can he make a decision making like in a smart way? Then we will need, of course, need more information and to know that what will be his expected loss or the cost. All right. So if he keeps the planet idle on site, then he can either build a protective shelter at a cost of the 30,000, and which will protect the plant against minor but not major typhoons. So now you can also notice that again we have a further decision making. Okay, we need to do another choices whether okay we want to build a shelter or not. If the contractor decide to build a shelter, then it can protect this site, okay, protected this plant for minor typhoon, but if not, okay, if he did not do that, then the plan will be destroyed by whether the typhoon is minor or major. All right, so that we can now know that okay, the decision tree we will have a different kind of direction now, or he can leave the planet unprotected on the side with no cost incurred. But here, like I mentioned before, when we do this kind of decision making, of course, it will have the associated cost and associated risk, and so that it will come up with a different kind of the result. Okay, resulting note, and then however, he then risk losing the plant if a typhoon, both major or minor, occurs if he decided to leave the plant on the site. So on the other hand, then he can take the plant off the site and move it to a safe place, store it there for a week, and then move it back to the site at a total cost of the 42,500. Okay, so that you can see if he decided to do this kind of action, then this is the associated cost, which is the 42,500. And so we also need to have the more information that is given here is that like the plant which costed 400,000 and will be destroyed by either a minor or major typhoon, and if it is left unprotected on site. So in a major typhoon but not a minor typhoon will also destroy it if a protective shelter is built on site. All right. And the typhoons cannot damage the plant if it is stored in a safe place away from the site, and the probability of it being hit by a major or minor typhoon during the week is estimated from the past recorded records of the meteorological observatory are 1% and 9% respectively. Okay, respectively. So now our task is that we want to draw this kind of decision tree for the contractor, okay, so that we can really help the contractor to make the decision, okay, the better decision. So how can we do that? Then here I already provided this kind of solution to you. Then the first one, like I said, we will have the two levels of the decision note. The first one, which is the move plants or leave the plant on the side, right? So if we decide to move the plant, then you can see that I put it the blimp here, and we also have the outcome node, like the triangle, which is the negative 42,500. Remember that we just shown the information from the questions for the example that, okay, we decide to move the plant there, then this will be the cost. However, we won't have any other associated costs because move the plant there, then the plant will be very safe. It won't be destroyed whether the typhoon is large or minor, right? But you need to pay this 42,500. All right. And then another link that link it to another decision node is that, okay, if we decided to leave the plant on the side, then we can do the further decision making that whether we're gonna build a shelter or no shelter. Okay, then we start with a no shelter means that, okay, we leave the plant on the side, we do nothing there, and you will see that we will have the 90% chance that we won't cost nothing because that based on the weather prediction that, okay, probably there's 90% chance that no typhoon will gonna come, right? So that we're gonna have, we actually have a very high chances that, okay, the plant you don't need to really cost anything, and you also have a very low risk, actually 90% for no risk there. I think this is already very attractive. However, of course, if we want to do this in a more scientific way, then we need to think other kind of probability. So if no shelter, then we both know that, okay, the 10% chance, like is 9% for the minor typhoon and 1% chance for the major typhoon. And then we have 10 chances to lose these 400,000, like the whole plant will gonna be destroyed. Okay, so this is the negative 400,000, like losing this number of money, and but only 10%. All right. Or you can also do another, okay, like we do like build shorter, and then you can see that if we decide to do that, we have the 99% chance, which is the 90% chance that, okay, no typhoon, and also 9% like for the minor typhoon, so that we were gonna put in the negative 30,000 here, which is the cost to build the shelter to protect the plant. All right. So that this is the how we do that. We have the negative 30,000 here, and we still have the 1% chance that all the facility, like including the plant and also shelter, will gonna be destroyed by the major typhoon, which is the you will have the negative 430,000, like destroy everything, you lose everything. Okay, but only 1% chance. And now I think now you have a more clear idea that how can we really build this kind of decision tree, right? So that we just based on decision node, and we also consider about the outcome node and also the probability, so that we can foresee that all these kind of situation. So far so good. Any question until now? Any question until now? So I think the decision tree can be very complicated. Okay, it can be very complicated. However, like I don't really want to. I just want you to really understand the concept. So, for example, if we have the final exam for decision tree, actually I can tell you that of course we will have these kind of questions in final exam, and then the difficulty or the complexity level will be close to these kind of things. Okay, close or a bit more complex. Okay, a bit more complex. All right. So that if we move to another one, the second step, then you can see that we can use in the alternative presentation like that. We can do like I just mentioned that. Okay, we have the build shelter in the second decision layer. We have the negative 30,000, so that we know that for the 99% chance it will cost 0, and 1% will cost 400,000. Like if it chose to build a shelter. All right. So that we can further to use the expected monetary value to calculate it, the cost there, okay, or the so-called risk there. So then the expected monetary value of the outcome branchings from a chance node is defined as the sum of the products of the outcome value. So actually simply say that we just want to lump sum all these kind of the possibility with the result. Okay, so mathematically it can be written as follows. So the E and B should be equal to the sigma of the I equal to 1 to the n and pi times the xi. So where the n is the number of the outcomes branches from the chance node, and xi is the value of the outcome I, and the pi is the probability of the occurrences of the outcome I. Okay, just we have the sum of all the outcome node and with the probability. So then the EMV, then the definition is a factor obtained from the definition of the average or mean or expected value. Yeah, I quite like the expected value, the 10 here. So in statistics, the definition of an average value that is given by the following expressions. All right. So then the EMV is also of the set of the outcome, and which is actually the average of the outcome value. So the proof is given below that average of the outcome value is equal to the bracket of the F1 times the X1 plus the F2 times the X2 plus until the Fn times the Xn, and divided by the sigma of the Fi, so that where the Pi is probability of the event I, so then we average, then we get the sigma of the I equal to 1 and I equal to n and Pi times the Xi, so that we will get the E and V. So then, how can we use the EMV to solve the decision? Then we just use this example 2 as an example. So the problems may be solved using the number of steps. So in the step 1, we set up the decision tree for the problem, so which we already show, okay, right, in this example 2. And the model is reproduced below for easy references. And for convenience, the decision nodes are labeled A and B, and the chance nodes are number 1 and 2. All right, so that just referred it to the example 2, so you can see clearly about those nodes. Okay, decision A, decision B, outcome 1 and outcome 2. All right. So in the step 2, and we can find the EMV at the various change nodes and enter values onto the decision tree. And the next step, the step 3, and we can find the optimum path by comparing with the EMVs and selecting the one with a higher value of, for example, maximum profit or the minimum loss. All right. So then you can see now, okay, if we use we calculate it from the right hand side to the left hand side. And so for the, we want to compare with these two nodes, node one, number one, and node number two, so that we have 0%, 0 times 90%, and then we get 0, and then negative 400,000, we times the 10%, so now we get the EMV1 is equal to negative 40,000. And for the builder shorters, we have the negative 30,000 times the 99% plus this 430,000 and times 1%. So we get the EMV2 is equal to the negative 34,000. So that, of course, we will select the lower value, which is builder shorter. And then so now we know that for decision node B, we will get the EMV is equal to the negative 34,000. And then we'll also compare with the other decision that which is move plan, and then which is the negative 42,500. Yeah, and then we can find that for leave the plan and build a shorter, then is the best choice, best alternative for example 2. All right, clear? All right. So in summary, that represented a decision problem by decision tree, and the tree is drawn after the alternative attachments are identified and the value of the outcome and their respective probability are unknown. So use the EMB criterion and as a basis for decision making and calculate the EMB at the change node. And so we started with the change node nearest to the tips of the tree at the most right hand of the tree. So this is also what I just did, right? So that we will have calculate from the right hand side to left hand side, then we compare with the different nodes. So then beginning with the tip of decision tree, then we compare the EMVs of the alternative actions at each decision node, selected the alternative action with the highest EMV, like the maximum expected profit or minimum expected loss, and assign the EMV to that decision node. And then we can just process node by node from the right to left and put a cross signal on the roads which have not been selected. So the overall decision is given by the roads from the left to right without no cross size. So we can refer to here. We were gonna go for the build a shorter, leave the plan, and for the example 2. Clear, right? Because there is no cross node. So that for the further part, we were gonna also talk about something that, another technique we call it EUV. And then before that, which is I would like to let you know that for the EMV, of course, it's easy to understand, easy to use, and which is also very powerful and systematic to consider to solve those decision tree problems. However, there are still some drawback. Okay, I will show you that what are those drawback and how can we overcome this kind of limitation. We're going to use the utility value, which is called EUV, so that we can use the utility value, develop the utility curve, and then making decision using the EUV criterion, and then we can have the further explanations on the EUV theory. All right, so we were going to also talk about this. So the major drawbacks of the EMV criterion is that, okay, the EMV criterion provide an objective measure of the money value. Okay, you probably also curious that, okay, for objective, which is very good, why not? Why is this a kind of drawback? However, you can see that for this kind of decision making, sometimes we need to think about the people's views to that. Okay, so before we talk about another example, just go back to the example 2. Remember, I mentioned that even that we use the decision tree, and then we also know that, okay, the chances of the typhoon to go to the site, actually the possibility is quite low, which is only 10%. Okay, means that, okay, if you are the risk taker, you think that okay, 90% chances I lose nothing. I just put the plan there, we do nothing. I think 90% chance is very, very high that we won't lose anything. Am I correct? So it means that yeah, some people will gonna also just do this, even that they see okay the result, yeah, which is better that we build a shorter move plan there. However, yeah, actually this takes time. This is the okay, probably not that economic effective. All right. Also, that what we just shown now, okay, we may probably save some money. Okay, save some money, but the money we save actually is that we consider the risk. Remember that we still need to pay this 34,000. Okay, in other words, means that okay, if we live there, we have 90% chance that we don't need to pay anything. We can save these additional costs, which is the 34,000, right? So that for this kind of decision making, actually there are also many different kinds of subjective view, or like toward the different amount of the money and the degree of the risk that the people are willing to take. Okay, are willing to take. Right? And then some extremely situation, probably I can show you later, is also like that. So in showing that the EMV criterion failed to take into account of the different levels of the importance of the given sum of the money for different people. Okay, so in some situation, probably EMV is not always the way that we can follow. Okay, it's not always the way that we can follow. So that we will use another example to show you that why EMV probably is not that perfect. So in this example, a retirement. Did you see the keyword now? A retirement. Okay, retirement. Receive a pension amount like amounting to the 200,000. Okay, which is a lot of money. Okay, if it is US dollar, of course it's a lot. But if this is Hong Kong dollar, it probably is not enough for the retirement. However, then he wishes to make a good use of it by investing in a profitable and secure business. So the investment plan one provide him with a 0.7 chances of losing the 200,000, but a 30% of the gaining 1 million. All right, and the investment two give him a 6% chance of gaining 150,000 and a 40% chance of the gaining 160,000. So which investment should he choose? So which one? So let us start it with the decision tree. Then you can see that okay, we just follow those things. Okay, we have decision making for one layer. Whether that the investment plan one, then you can see okay, we have the 70% to lose the 200,000. However, we have the 30% to win 1 million. So you can see that if we have sum of the value of the EMV, then the EMV for the investment plan one will be 160,000, and investment plan two will be 150 times the 60% and 160 times the 40%. So that the EMV two will be 154,000. So which one is better? Which one? According to the EMV, then of course EMV1 is better, right? Because it has a higher value. However, okay, so Yanning, why do you think the option 2 is better? If we, according to what we have, the EMV, not be any lost. Okay, however, the EMV, we didn't really count that, okay, whether it will get a loss or we can say that, okay, we have 30% chances to win 5 times than an investment, which is 500%. And then to be honest, 500% value with 30% probability, which is super high, right? Okay, just let me ask you a single let us do this. I actually want to see that how the others feel. Can you please have you responded here? Plan one or plan two? No one choose the plan one, really? Only one, two, three? Yeah, Caleb, I think this is a kind of personal preferences, right? Personal preferences. Yeah. However, I think Yanning also responded. So when I say that subjective view means that you may have a different kind of perception for this kind of question. If you are still young, like in your age, 20, yeah, Junho, you are right. You don't even started to work so that you will have a great future, right? You will have a great future. So why not you take more risk to win more, right? However, if you are approaching to retire, then you will gonna probably think about another way. If you have the kids like me, I probably cannot really take this kind of risk. However, it's like your young man here, okay, probably yeah, you will gonna choose the EME one because at 30% to win 1 million, which is a lot, right? So that yeah, you can see now is the people choose the plan one. Yeah, now it's 14 students, and the plan two is still 21 students. And I think this is also interesting. Uh, Probably it's because that you studied civil engineering. The engineering students are more, I would say, yeah, more to think about this more conservative, so that you can see the plan two will have a little bit more student here. Yeah, but for a businessman, probably most majority will choose the plan one. All right. Yeah, so here I just want you to realize that okay, for this kind of decision making, different people will have different kind of view, so that the EMV cannot really take this one. So for retirement, so in this example, decision based on the EMV criteria is therefore unsatisfactory for the decision maker, right? Because this is not because the expected profit of the 160,000 is less attractive than the 154,000, but simply because that the thought of the losing all the money is completely unacceptable to a retired man, right? So then this drawback of the EMB theory then can be overcome by using what is known as the utility value theory, that this theory is designed to take into consideration the subjective or the personal views of the importance of a gain or loss to a decision maker. So then for the following lectures that I will gonna tell you that how can we really convert it, those EMV value to the EUV so that we can take this subjective view into account for decision making. So then the utility value referred to the pleasure or displeasure with one like we get from gaining or losing a specific amount of money. And the utility curve then can be used to illustrate the relationship between the money gain or loss by a person and the degree of pleasure or displeasures, like which will be gained or lost. So the how can we do that is that with the monetary value in the problem must be transformed into the utility value before they can be used to make a decision. So this transformation is possible if the utility curve for the decision maker is known. So there are three steps in the development of the utility curve that they are explained below. So the first one, the first step, we should identify the largest and the smallest monetary value in the decision tree. And then in this problem, then the largest monetary value is 1 million and the smallest monetary value that is negative 200,000. So we can now have the two value, like the maximum and the minimum, so that in step two, we assign the arbitrary utility value to the largest and smallest monetary value as shown in the below table, so that we converted this largest, the 1 millions, to the utility value utile as 100. It can be 100, 1000, whatever. It's just like we want to give it as a range. So usually we can use 100 or 1000. It's just depending on the scale that you want to choose. And then we can also do the smallest, which is a negative 200,000. Okay, which is then we assign it the utility value equal to 0. Then the next step, now we can have the 2 points, see the figure below, on the utility curve, and simply by assigning the two utility value to the two monetary values, and then note that the unit for the monetary value is dollars, while the unit for the utility value is utile. So that you see that for the x-axis, we have the money fair value, and the y-axis, we have the utility value. So that for the 1 million points and associated with the 100, you can see this point in the right hand side, and also the 0 as negative 200,000 in the left hand side. So now we got the 2 points on the utility curve. So was it good? And the step 3, we want to generate another utility value for another monetary value by using the hypothetical decision problem. So the basic aim in this step is to establish how much risk the person is willing to take. So think about that. What amount of the money X, which you can obtain for sure, do you consider to be equivalent to a 50-50 gambles negative 200,000 and 1 million? So in other words, like how much would you want to receive, and rather than take the chance of a 50-50% gamble on winning 1 million or losing 200,000. Okay, just like see that which way that you prefer more, so that we can have a different kind of the subjective view. For example, if someone who won the 50% to gain 300,000, then we just put it 50 here, right? Or someone would like to use it to earn the 150,000, then which is the B. Then if someone wants to get more, that in this 50-50% chances, the expected profit the benefit he want to get, that is 500,000, then we put the C here. So then this 500,000, okay, will be also equal to this utility value, which is 50, so that this can be just repeated. We have the more points on the curve, so that we can obtain the smooth curve obtained by joining those points. Obtain the step 2 and step 3 is a utility curve for the decision maker. So it means that then the next value for the subjective view of the decision maker C, it can be something somewhere here, like if it is the 400,000, then the utility value will be probably 40 something. Okay. However, if it is the decision maker A, then when it is the what he want to earn the 400,000, then actually it move up. Then you can see the utility value that is already become 60 something. So simply say that for these 3 different lines already represented the different kind of risk that the people are willing to take. All right. If it is a straight line, then it will be equal to the E and V. Also, you can see that the decision making A looks a bit like straight. No, but actually it's already upward. Okay, it's already upward. But however, if the curve is shown like downward, like U shape, a bit U shape, but B and A is more like a reverse U, also like just a bit. Okay, but for like the C, for this kind of C curve, it's already shows that someone are willing to take more risk because it expected that he want to earn more, bonusing more benefits, more profits, but which means that this will take more risk. Okay, and the A and B are risk averted, means that okay, it will be upper than the straight line. Okay, upper than the straight line. All right. So that then you can also see that for the if we think that the retirement is the this based on this line, which is the line A. If it's based on the decision maker A, we can find out that okay, for the investment plan B, okay, investment so this not B, it should be investment plan 2. Then this monetary value that the expected money that it can get is like 150,000. Then the utility value will be like very equal to close at 36 if we go count this back. So that means that okay, for this one 150,000 should be like here. And then if this is the utility value, then we move it to the x axis. You can see that it should be somehow in 36. All right, so it's based on this line, all right. And then for 160,000, then it should be moved a bit upper, then you will be equal to the utility value as the 38. Okay, it should be 38. So that if we can define it, this one, like doing this kind of transition from the monetary value to the utility value, then the EUV of the two investment plan, then now be computed like this. We have the utility value 0 times 0.7, we have 100 times 0.3, and so we'll get the EUV for the plan 1, then is 30. And if it is 36 times the 60% and plus the 38 times the 40%, so we get the EUV2, which is the 36.8. So now we can see that based on this kind of transformation, then you can see the investment plan 2 now is better than the investment plan 1. Okay, because we already take the subjective view of the retirement into account to make this decision. All right, so this is the decision tree represented by the utility value. So far so good. So far so good. Any questions? Yes. I mean, Giovanni, this is subjective. Then we can refer it to the page 30. So that is why I say that it can be different line, and then we just help the decision maker to draw this line based on the transformation of the monetary value to the utility value. Okay, so this is why I put 3 examples: decision maker A, B, and C. They means the different things. Okay, Yanning, I think this is also very difficult to answer. For the probability, yeah, in this subject, I use it's just like an assumption. Of course, that I didn't really know that for which kind of investment plan will be have a different kind of but you can refer it to some bank, some investment company. They will just promise is that okay, if you choose this kind of investment plan, probably they will gonna have the 9% 9% profits, like guaranteed profit, or like the government, I think they also release some bond or something like that to let the public to purchase. They also guarantee that okay, there will be 4% or yeah, just like a certain percent of the payback. Okay, certain percent of the profit payback. Okay, just really depending on the different kind of investment plan. And then here, the invest money that I show, of course, is much higher than the reality. But yeah, but there should be some investment plan like that. You can refer it to. All right. But this one, of course, is very high. It's way too high compared with the reality. All right. So we have some further explanation on the utility effect theory, and like I just mentioned, right? If we put it a straight line here, okay, straight line here, and which is used as the utility curve, then the decision obtained from the EUV criterion that will be the same as that obtained by using the EMV criterion. So that, like I said, the A and B, they both of them are risk averter, and however the this C, that if they are someone willing to take more risk because he want to get more, okay, get more. And then the following is just a proof of the statement of the decision maker D. Like suppose that the M11 and M12 like monitoring value for the action 1 with the probability like P1 and P2 respectively, that the M21 and M22 are monitoring value for action 2 with probability Q1 and Q2 respectively, and the U11, U12, U21, and U22 are the corresponding utility value. So that, yeah, I think I didn't really need to explain all this, but the final one is that I just want to tell you, yeah, that EUV line, the straight line, will equal to the EMD. All right, so you don't really need to, yeah, know how to prove it, but I just want to show you, yeah, they are the same. Okay, they are the same. So then the utility curve A, like I just showed, is like concave downward, and which is the above the straight line enjoying the endpoint. And the utility curve of the such shape reflect that the investor is a risk averter. Okay, and the investment B, investor B also a risk averter and even more conservative than the A. And the gambler, like curve C, is more willing to take the risks, and then also the expected loss is also greater. So the expected gain is smaller when he takes the risk. And the arbitrary utility value are assigned to two monetary value in step 2, and this is because their absolute utility value are not important. And the step 3 allows the subjective measures of the money to take the place of the completely objective measures of that obtained by using the EMV criterion. All right, so how about we have a 10 minutes break, then we will come back for another decision analysis, which is using the AHP, the analytic hierarchy process. All right. Yeah, I think it's good that I get a lot of feedback and questions from students. Yeah, means that yeah, you probably are quite interested with the MV and UV, and we can discuss further. And for the next part, we will gonna talk about the AHP, that which is the multi-criteria decision. Like because the many decision problems are multi-criteria, not the single criteria. Then what we just mentioned is that yeah, still the single criteria, right? Because we're based on the still based on margin value, we're based on EUV. Also, that we say that we can take the subjective view into account. However, we still make a decision making based on the single criteria like UV or EMV or the delta value or that benefit of cost, right? Remember that? However, there are many decision problems that are multi-criteria, not only single criteria. And there are also many multi-criteria decision-making techniques that include the goal programming, scope model, analytic hierarchy process, and also the analytic network processes. And then we were gonna focus on the AHP here, like today. Yeah, and think about when you want to buy something, okay, what will be your criteria to think about? For example, if you want to replace it your mobile phone, what will you consider? Function, style, exterior, whether it looks cool or not, price, right? So, for example, if we would like to, I would say, use whatever EUV or those kind of cost model that we just mentioned in a class, then can we say that okay, because the Samsung, Xiaomi, and also the iPhone, then we select Xiaomi because it is cheapest. Can we say that? Or will you make a decision based on that? Probably not, right? Probably not. So that is why I say that only consider the price, only consider the cost or the monetary value. Probably is not the way that we can really do for most of the decision making that in the real world. All right, so that's why we were gonna talk about which is the analytic hierarchy process. Okay, and this HHP is a procedure that decided to quantify the managerial judgments that of the relative importance of each of the several conflicting criteria that using in the decision-making processes. All right, so now we will have, I would say, several steps that we can follow for AHP. Yeah, and then yeah, but like I said, I will can also use the example to demonstrate how can we use it. Yeah, but for this one, the process a bit complex. Okay, a bit complex, so that you need to really follow those kind of things. And the first one is like we list the overall goal, criteria, and the decision alternative. And for each criteria, then we perform the step 2 through 5. And in the step 2, we develop a pairwise comparison matrix. Okay, we were gonna have several metrics that we need to calculate it for AHP. And then we rate the relative importance between each pair of the decision alternative, and the matrix lists the alternatives horizontally and vertically and has the numerical ratings like comparing the horizontal first alternative with the vertical second alternative, and the ratings are given as follow. Okay, given as follow like this. We can have the pairwise comparison matrix. And remember, for this kind of comparison, we were gonna put in the numerical, like the weighting there, like compared to the second alternative, the first alternative is rated like extremely preferred. Then we can put 9 from 9, very strong preferred, like 7, strongly preferred, 5, and moderately preferred, 3, or equally preferred, then we put in 1. Okay, so that this is not like a absolute weighting. Instead of that, it kind of like just numerical that say that you prefer this factor, this alternative than another, than another. So we don't really need to say that from 9 to 1. You can still from 7 to 1, 5 to 1. But to be honest, I can tell you like for the HP, like most the HP method that they use is from the scale of this 1 to 7. Okay, 1 to 7. This is the most common one that we use. And then intermediate numerical rating like A642 also can be assigned, but you can see the reciprocal rating that is assigned when the second alternative is preferred to the first, so that the value of the one is always decided when the comparing an alternative with itself. So then for the step three, we develop the normalized matrix like divided each number in the column of the pairwise comparison matrix by its column sum. And then we develop the priority vector that we average the each row of the normalized matrix that this row average from for the priority vectors of the alternative preferences with respect to the particular criterion, and then the value in this vector then it should be summed to 1. All right, so that we normalize it and do the priority vector, and then we also need to calculate which is the consistency ratio, that the consistency of the subjective inputs in the pairwise comparison matrix can be measured by calculating the consistency ratio. Okay, I think there is a student like Chong Hu asked me, also it's not related to here. However, when he asked that whether is it any unreasonable value, okay, then this consistent ratio in AHP actually is just would like to answer the Chong Ho's question. Is that actually some value they are unreasonable? Okay, they are unreasonable. So that we need to check it out when we try to do the further analysis. Are those value reasonable and can be further processes? Okay, then this is how the consistent ratio, like calculate this consistent ratio, would like to do. Okay, because some preferences to some different alternative, they are unreasonable. So we need to identify that. Yeah, identify that. So then a consistent ratio of less than 0.1, then which is good. And for ratios which are greater than 0.1, then the subjective input should be re-evaluated. Okay, then here that we need to evaluate if the value is larger than the 0.1. So for each criterion, then we perform the step 2 to 5. And then we can, in the step 6, we can develop the priority matrix. After the step 2 through 5 has been performed for all criteria, the result of the step 4 are summarized in the priority matrix by listing the decision alternative horizontally and the criteria vertically, and the column and entries are the priority vector for the each criterion. So we can further develop a criteria pairwise development matrix, and this is down in the same manner as they are used to construct alternative pairwise comparison matrix. And by using the subjective rating in the step 2 and similarly normalize the metric in the step 3 and develop a criteria priority vector like step 4, so that we can finally develop an overall priority vector, like multiply the criteria priority vector from step 7 and also by the priority matrix from the step 6. All right, so that this is how we can do for the whole AHP process from step 1 to step 8. However, then here is that, remember in the step 5, we need to check the consistent ratio. Then how can we do that is that we also have some small steps that we need to follow. So in step 1, we multiply each value in the first column of the pairwise comparison matrix by the priority of the first item, then multiply each value in the second column of the pairwise comparison matrix by the priority of the second item, then continue the process for all the columns of the pairwise comparison matrix, and then we sum of the value across the row to obtain the vector of the value and label the weight sum. All right. And we can divide it. The elements of the weight sum vectors are appended in step 1 by the corresponding priority for each criterion. Then we can compute the average of the value found in step 2, like the lambda max. All right. So then we can compute the consistent index, the CI of the n alternative by the CI is equal to the bracket of lambda max minus n and divide by n minus 1. We also need to determine the random index RR is just determined by how many numbers of the alternative that we have. How many? Yeah, for example, if we have 3 alternatives, then we use the RI is equal to 0.458. If we have 7 alternatives, then with the random Ri, like the index Ri is 1.32. So then finally, we can compute the consistent ratio. The CR is equal to CI divided by RI. All right. So this is how we do for the consistency ratio. Okay, sorry. And yeah, so for this AHP, for the following, I think 20 minutes, I would like to use an example, which is the car selection to let you understand it. Yeah, how can we use an HP to do that? And like I just mentioned, that for replacing your mobile phone, if you want to buy a bicycle, if you want to buy something, I would say make the decision making. You may list a different kind of characteristic or the criteria that you really care. However, how can we really make those decision making like based on different kind of criteria? Then we need to rely on the AHP. And then for the car selection here, we actually had the 3 different alternatives with 6 criteria that we will gonna consider. Okay, means that we have 3 different car, the possible alternative, Accord, Saturn, and Cavalier. All right, and those criteria that we can consider is the characteristic of the cars, like the price, the color, the miles per gallon, which is the fuel consumption. Okay, fuel consumption, the fuel efficiency, interior. Okay, I think some of the the people, yeah, quite really care about the interior, that whether it's comfort, yeah, beautiful, deluxe, or the body type, and also the sound system. I think the sound system, yeah, which is the old, yeah, this old fashioned, old date. Okay, now everyone can just use the touch screen and smart or even like iPad on that, right? Now, however, it's just like the 6 criteria that we can consider, and with the 3 different type of the three alternative that we consider. All right, so we were gonna based on those criteria and then to select the best choice, okay, for the decision maker. All right, so which car? And the first step, we want to establish the priority, like using the AHP. So means the priority is that also that we know that, okay, the characteristic that we consider will include the price, color, fuel efficiency, interior body type, and sound system. But how can we assign a weighting to that? Okay, which one is more important? Then we need AHP. We need that kind of matrix, so that we will gonna do this first step using the pairwise comparison. So we were gonna compare the price between the price and MPG, the fuel efficiency, price to comfort, price to style, fuel efficiency to the comfort, and fuel efficiency to style, and comfort and style. All right, so that we were gonna have this pairwise comparison between those characteristics, and then we can find that, okay, then this actually can be done, because this is also very subjective. You just say that, okay, this is probably done by you or by someone. I'll just give you an example, like here, so that someone like me probably think, yeah, the price is everything. Price is very important. So that I say price is like 3 compare 1 important than the fuel efficiency. Price is also more important than the comfort, like 2 versus 1. And the price is more important than its style, 2 versus 1. And then fuel efficiency and mileage per gallon is more important than comfort. Okay, then I put 4. Fuel efficiency is also more important than the style, then we put 4. Yeah, I don't really care about style. So that you can see that the comfort is also important than the style, like 2 versus 1. So that is why I put it the numerical rating here. So far so good. So now you know how to put it the pairwise comparison, right? We compare the 2 different vectors, like those factors, and then select which one is more important, and also put the numerical rating. Okay, then this is how the number really means. Like 3 is that the price is 3 versus 1 to mileage per gallon. All right. So that we can further develop the hierarchy, like here. We put in the price, MPG, comfort, and style here, and price, MPG, comfort. Like we have a different layer and different column, so that price, so that in the middle, for like we of course price versus price of course is 1. And then if we started with the price like from left to the right, then price versus MPG, then we'll put 3 here, because price, I just say that the weighting, it doesn't really mean that it's 3 times more important than MPG. It's just like the rating here, I put 3 versus MPG, which is 1. So I put 3, and comfort is 2, style is 2, because this is based on the price in the left hand side in the first column. All right, so that we can get it when like comfort versus MPG, then which is the comfort is 4 versus 1 to the MPG, and the style is 4 versus 1 to the MPG, and the style is 2 versus 1 to the comfort. Okay, so this is how I get it for the first hierarchy. Okay, this is the first hierarchy table. So that we do this like reciprocal, so that we can get the MPG now is 1/3 versus price, and MPG is 1/4 versus comfort, and MPG is 1/4 versus style, right? So that then the comfort versus price then is also reciprocal from this point to this column to, so now it's 1 like half, and it's 4 and also 1 for comfort, and 1 and half of the style. So that this is how we get the hierarchy. And then we can do further like synthesization. Like for step 1, we sum the value in each column, so that we get the sum from the price is 2.53, with sum of the MPG that is 12, and comfort is 5.25, and the style is 3.75. And then we divide each element of the matrix by its column total, then we can get the 0.429 for price, and the MPG for price is 0.143, and comfort is 0.214, and style is 0.214. So it's kind of like normalization of those factors. Okay, normalization, because we normalize those factors based on their sum. Okay, so that you can see actually the sum of them would be equal to 1 now. And so we put the priority, we just average the element in each row to determine the priority of each criterion. So we get the price now is the to the priority as the last column. Then we can get in the right hand side, the most right hand side, then we get the 0.398, and the MPG is 0.085, and the comfort is 0.218, and the style is 0.299. Okay, now then we can check the consistency, because for those priority weighting, then we just use this 0.398 and also ties with the previous, like the factor, the matrix in the page 53, so that we can get this 0.398 times this vector, and plus the 0.085, and also plus the 0.218, like just time this vector, then we can finally get the 1.687 and 0.348 and 0.907 and also 1.274 as the first vector. Okay, so that in the step 2, we just use, because of this value, then we can further divide it by the priority vector. Okay, 5 priority vector, then we can get the 1.683 divided by the 0.398, we get the 4.236 for price, we get the 4.077 for MPG, and 4.163 for comfort, and 4.264 for style. Then we can check the step 3, the lambda max, that is equal to the sum of those values and divide by 4, which is equal to the 4.185. So step 4, then we compute the consistent index, that the CI is equal to the bracket of the lambda max minus n divided by the n minus 1. So we get the 0.0616. So that the n, because we will check it for variables. Remember that the 4 characteristics. So that is why the n we can get here is like this. So that based on the n, then we can also know the Ri is 0.09. So finally, we can use the CI divided by the RI, then we get the 0.068. So then, which is means that it fits with the criteria and less than the 0.1. All right. So it means that those weighting, those subjective views, yeah, that we put it there are reasonable. Okay. So that we can do further calculation because the consistency ratio is acceptable. Okay, is acceptable. All right. So then we can just further have the pairwise comparison for cars. All right, because I remember that I just put in the weighting for those criteria. Okay, but we haven't really compared with the car, so that we can pairwise comparison between those cars, not just between those criteria, the four criteria, right? So then we also have to put in the weighting like the prices. For example, Accord versus Saturn, because Accord is more expensive. So that, of course, I will put it 1/3 compared with Saturn, 1/4 compared with Cavalier. So then the Saturn is 3 versus 1 for Accord for this rating. And Saturn is also 1 to 1, the half of the Cavalier, because Cavalier is the cheapest. Yeah, but we still also uh, 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 converted those prices into these kind of such weighting. All right. So the Cavalier is 4 versus 1 Accord and 2 versus Saturn. All right. And then MPG also like the Cavalier because it is the more fuel efficiency. So it's like 6 versus Accord, 3 versus Saturn. Like Saturn is 4 versus Accord, right? And for the comfort, yeah, then the Accord is the most comfortable one and it's more deluxe interior. And so that you can see that we have the 1, 2, and 8 compared with the Saturn and Cavalier respectively. And for the style, yeah, you can see I personally like the Saturn one, so that we have the 3, and also compared with Cavalier like 7. So Saturn, I think Saturn has the highest score for this one. Okay, Honghua, yeah, I think you raised a question, then we can check back. You can check the page 48 out here, Honghua. Honghua, you can check because we have the 4 criteria that we're gonna consider. So it's number of alternative 4. So then here, the table, we can refer to the table because the random index here, the RI is 0.9. Okay, it's 0.9. So this is how, yeah, we need to refer this kind of table. So in the exam, actually, if we need to use it to check it, and of course, I will also provide a table. All right. All right, then let's continue. Like here, I will just mention, we just finished about a pairwise comparison for the cars, right? So then the priority for the each car using the each criterion, then yeah, what we can do is like we actually would need to convert all these metrics again, like what we just did, like here. Okay, remember that we have 2 layers of the AHP for this example. The first one is that we do AHP for those criteria. Remember that we do price, MPG, and style and comfort. So now we defined it that how important like the weighting for those criteria. And the second layer is that we compare the car itself because we also have those information about the cars. All right, so that after that, we can have the priority for each car using each criterion like this. We just repeated those step by step. Okay, step by step. Then we can finally rate each alternatives like this. We have the overall priority of the Accord, then we can get the 0.398 and times 0.123 and plus the 0.085 and times 0.087 and plus the 0.218 times the 0.593 and also plus the 0.299 times the 0.265. So we get the overall priority of the Accord that is equal to the 0.265. All right, and then we're just repeating the calculation of the Saturn and the Cavalier, and we obtain the following result. We get the overall priority of the Saturn is the 0.398 times the 0.3210 and plus the 0.085 and times the 0.274 and plus the 218 times the 0.341 and plus the 299 and times the 0.656. So we get the 0.421. And then the same thing like for the overall priority of the Cavalier, then we get the 0.314. So then finally we can ranking these priorities that we have the HP ranking of the decision alternative that the number 1 is Saturn, and then number 2 is Cavalier, and number 3 is Accord. All right, so this is the for the AHP. For AHP, I think you probably also need to take some time, yeah, to digest. Okay, to digest. All right. So yeah, I think we finished the lecture a bit earlier, like 10 minutes before the original schedule. Yeah, but then here, I think I also would like to discuss something. Yeah, since that I also got lots of the questions about the group projects from different groups actually, and I also found that yeah, some of the group are really working the group project well. However, we actually met a very I would say challenging problem is that yeah, also that I schedule one lecture like the last week for group presentation, but then we have more than 20 groups actually. We have more than 20 groups actually, so it is impossible to finish it within 2 or 3 hours. It is impossible. It is impossible, right? So what I'm thinking is that how about that I ask all the groups to record your presentation and then send it to me. So we were gonna cancel the presentation. We're gonna cancel the presentation. Instead of that, I will just look at about your record, like presentation recording. Is that okay, guys? I also would like to know what do you see or any problem that you may encounter. Okay, how about let us vote. I really like voting. Oh, I think okay. Majority think that the recording is okay, right? I think the deadline can be yeah, voting. I think the deadline can be like the deadline for the group report. I think it's 15, right? I think 1 days after the last lecture. Do we need to show our facing recording? I think it is not necessary, but if you like, I think it's also okay. Since that, yeah, it is a shame that we cannot have the face-to-face class this semester. So if you can show your face, at least in the beginning, I think it will be okay. It should be better. It should be better. Yeah, so the majority think the recording is fine. Then I will put in this forward. How about that? We just do recording. We just do recording. And for the last lecture, I think I will use the time for reviewing those material and then help all of you guys to prepare the final exam. How about that? We save the time for presentation and then have a more time to prepare the exam. I think it's also okay that if you need to postpone it to the yeah, I know, but today the content is a bit because I introduced actually three different methods today. I actually yeah, three methods today. So for doing the tutorial, probably also you need to yeah take a bit time. So I think it's okay that I will postpone the submission deadline. Yeah, but I still highly suggest you to starting to work on that because like Vahi will still be here. So if you have any question, you can still ask him. Okay, you can still ask him until yeah 5:30, right? Yeah. Oh, I think there are yeah a couple of students actually asked us because yeah they sent a message in the private way to me. So I'm also responding to them, like Wong Park said. All right. So that, yeah, probably some of you are curious that how can we get the metrics like here, right? The page 51, right? So then I think I can also explain it again. Like here, you may see those numbers that we get the numerical rating from the page 50. So this means that the prices versus the MPG is a price is more important. So it's more like the price is 3 versus 1. Okay, like the price versus the MPG, and the price is 3 and MAG is 1. So that's why we put it in the first row, like the price versus MPG here. Then we put 3. Did you get it? So that is why in the first row, like price versus MPG, then this cross column, then we use 3. And then if we go back here, the prices first comfort, and the prices is 2 versus 1 with the comfort. So that we put the 2 here, like prices versus comfort for this cross column, then we put a 2. So the same, we put a style here. Then, for example, like the comfort versus MPG, then why we get a 4? Then we can refer it to here. This is the MPG versus comfort. However, you can see the comfort is more important than the MPG. So then that's why we put it 4 here. Then this is kind of like 4 versus 1. Then we put it the cross columns about the comfort and the MPGs as 4 here. So far so good. One part, can you did you get it? Yes, so that we can put it all the numbers into the first hierarchy, and then we do reciprocal. That then yeah, like the prices versus MPG. Then this column will be the MPG versus price. So that's why we reciprocal. We reverse this number like 3, and it become 1/3 here. So 1/3, 1/4, and 1/4, like from the comfort and from style, so that we can get all the numbers here. Oh, Honghua. Cool. I think the students get confused at quite the same place. All right, then let's get back and do it again. You mean this page, right? So then why this is like 300,050? Then here is like what I said for the subjective view for this 50%. Why I mean what does that utility value means is that we want to have the 50% chance to earn the benefit for 300,000. Okay, so that we assume that this guy, like when I ask you that when for this kind of investment, you have 200,000, then what will be the in the middle way, like the 50% chance that what is the amount of value you want to get? You probably say that the higher the better, but also know that the higher profit also goes with more risk, right? So when you say, okay, I want to get more, probably 300,000 or 500,000, then we can know for this time. But of course, people are greedy, like I said. But you also need to know that then for this kind of decision making, when we put in more value for this 50, for example, if we want the 50, let's see, more than 500,000 here, then you need to understand that of course you will gonna have the more risk. All right, all right. So it's kind of like in the stock markets, in the financial markets. Okay, if some stock in the developing country, actually they have a very high potential to earn more, but it also have the very high potential to lose everything. Okay, so it's quite like that. It's quite like that. So for this 50% chance is I just ask you that, okay, what is the ideal, I would say, the amount of money that you want to have the reward for this kind of investment? All right, so that we can put in 300,000 here, and then probably we can build it another points like 40%, 30%, so that you will can have associate dot, and then you can make it the line like this. All right. Okay, then you probably can have a 5 or 10 minutes break, and then Bahia is here now, so that you can also spend some time to digest those contents and then start to work on tutorial. But I will of course postpone the deadline for submission. Okay, postpone the deadline for submission. And I also thank you that we made this change that we can record it the presentation. Okay, we can, and so that we can have a more time to prepare a final exam. All right, so that I will see you guys next week.
Hey guys, I hope you're having a good day and hope you're all safe in this situation. Uh, uh, so please do let me know if you have any question regarding the uh, tutorial and discuss it further. Okay, guys, can any of you please tell me what is the first step for solving? Can you hear me, by the way? Okay, thank you. Uh, can you please tell me what is the first step in solving this question? What should we do first? Let's talk together and let's help each other and see what we should do. I cannot tell you the answer. I cannot tell you the solution. Uh, Perhaps at the end of the term we will have, and then uh, I will solve all of these for you. But uh, yeah, if you could help me, if you could tell me what should we do now, uh, I think other students will also take advantage of your suggestions. No one? Let me just name someone and then uh, the last person in the list, Yat Nin Pang. Are you? Can you hear me? My friend, can you hear me? Okay, thank you.
Testing.
Yes.
Is my voice clear?
Okay, so I can hear you now. So, what is the first step? What should we do here?
In the question 1A, it asked me to find the overall ranking of the four criteria.
Yes.
So my first step is to I copy the matrix into the Excel file first, and then my first step is to sum the individual column.
Just some?
Summing
Yes.
the values of the individual column. And then the
Yes.
second step is that I divide each matrix with respect to that column to the sum.
You mean finding the average? No,
Um,
normalizing, sorry. Normalizing it, right?
Maybe I share my screen could.
Of course, of course.
Can I share the screen?
I don't know. But it doesn't matter. So the first step is like finding the sum for each column.
Yes.
The second step, normalizing the values of each column, right?
I don't know is that whether the action I'm doing is called normalizing, but basically I divided each matrix to the sum I calculated in the previous step.
Yes.
Is that
So it
normal?
means, yeah, it is called normalizing.
Okay.
Nice. So I'm going to write find the sum of each column to find the normalized value of each cell column wise. So, okay, thank you. I'm gonna ask another friend of ours. On the top of the list, Hanliang Wu. Are you here? Okay. I think he or she is not listening. The second one, Chuck Paymo. Are you here? Okay, apparently this. Let's go to the third one. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer. Just turn on your microphone and then let's talk. Choklam Tzu. Can you hear me? Okay. Even if you do not know the answer, can you please answer me and then say, yeah, I can hear you, but yeah, okay. Seems like not many students are listening to the class. That's okay. Next one. Chi Chong Ngan. I pronounce it the wrong way, definitely. Are you available? Are you in the class? Okay, so apparently, based on these 4 students, you don't need my help. Please let me know if you need my help, then we can talk about it.
Testing. May I ask something?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I want to ask about the difference between the between the priority vector and the priority matrix. Because I'm not quite sure whether or how to calculate the priority matrix. Maybe because I cannot share the screen, maybe I try to tell what I have done until now and see what I have got. Is that all right?
Let me see why you cannot share a screen. Maybe if I can change it. I think you can. Let me just check. I think you should be able to present now.
Let me see. Am I sharing the Excel file? I think yeah.
Yes.
So basically, this is the. Also, I started to say what I have done first. So this is basically what I have done for question 1.
Yes, I can see it. Yes, you found the sum.
Yeah, and then I divided each cell to the column sum, the corresponding column sum.
Yes. Let me see. Yes. Yep. Okay.
So I would like to ask whether this column is the priority matrix.
The column cannot be matrixed, right? It should be a vector.
Vector, yeah. Is that already the priority vector?
I guess so. Yes. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me check. Yes, based on the slide number 42, the priority vector is average each row of the normalized matrix, which is what you did, right? These
Yes.
row averages form the priority vector of alternative preferences with respect to the particular criterion. Yep.
Yeah. Then following the next step, I calculate the consistency. This green
The
box,
ranking.
yeah, the answer for part A. And for the consistency, then I try to calculate the consistency, and it's like this. Then it is smaller than 0.1. I think it's okay. But for the step 6, on page 44 of the lecture slide, it present the term called priority matrix, and I don't quite understand what the is description.
Can you go a little bit? Can you show me the yes? Why did you do it like this?
Because I follow the example in the last few pages to calculate it.
Is that true? Let me check.
Is it
priority? Let me check. So your So what is your vector? What is your final like weighted sum?
Weighted sum. I
Yes.
think I'm getting the consistency here. But
Let me check. Can you zoom in a little bit?
okay.
A little
Where?
bit. Yes, just that's okay. Just keep it here. Just let it be here. Mhm. Just wait a little bit. Can you go to C56?
C56 here.
Yes. Can you show me G30?
Here.
Oh, yes, I got it. Okay, okay. So, what is, okay, let me see. Okay, can you go down? Let's go down a little bit more. CI is like that. CR is, can you show me your CR? F71, yes. Yes, yes, that is correct. That is correct, yes.
Thank you. But I want to ask, how can I calculate the priority matrix? And because I do not understand the description for step 6 in the lecture notes.
For step 6, right?
Yes.
Let me
It is
develop a project after step 2. So for priority matrix, you should multiply the priority value for each criteria times its column. So let me show you. So it basically means that you should let me check you should create another do you have team viewer?
team view. You mean MS Team? Team view.
No. Team viewer.
Yeah, yes, I have. Do you want me to?
Can you just give me access?
Okay.
Can you give me access so I can connect to your? Let me check.
Let me send the ID to you first.
Okay, let me check. Or maybe I can show. Just share your screen, please. I will let you know what to do.
Okay.
I will tell you what to do. Just share your screen.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So go to cell H5.
H5?
H5. 5, yes. H5. 5.
H5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Equal to, just do what I say. Equal to C5 times G30. Yes. Also, just wait a little. Wait. Put a dollar sign behind G. Behind G. Before G. No, that is after G. Before G. Yes. Now extend it. Now drag it down. And drag the whole column to the right. Yes. Can you show me K8? Yes. Let's just let me check. Just show me the number. Show me the results. Yes. Just wait. Perhaps 3 times. No, I made a mistake. Yes. G30 for the whole column C. Then G31 for column D. Yes, that is, so it should be, yes. It should be again G30, not. Thank you, my friend who was listening. Yeah. So everything all right?
Is this the priority
Oh, sorry.
matrix?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I lost you for a moment. Can you show me K7?
K7.
K7, yes. G30, yes, that is correct. Yes, that is the priority matrix.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge. And then you need to find the sum of each row. Yes, then you need to find the sum of each row. It's gonna be the weighted sum.
Find the sum of each row.
Yes.
but what is it for? I mean, why?
Let me check the step 7.
Oh, I see.
I guess this was not in the question. What is the consistent ratios overall ranking of the 4 criteria? Let me check. This is the step 7, right? You found the step 7?
No, I haven't. I do nothing in the current step 7. I just copied the step 6 result in it.
So step 7, in step 7, you again you need to normalize this matrix, and then like what you did for step 2 in this example, step 7 you're gonna have to do the same for step 6. But I think the question didn't ask you to do it, so no need to do that.
But for the sake of my knowledge,
Yes.
may I ask why I have to do it again? Because in step 7, something called pairwise comparison matrix show out, but what is it?
That's a very, very good question. Let me think about your question and see how can I answer it. It's better if you can show the priority metrics for this is the answer of your question who asked in the chat box. Let me see. Priority vector. Let me check something. Overall priority vector. So I need to correct myself. The tutorial has asked for the overall ranking of the four criteria. I would say that probably Dr. Shu meant step 8, uh, slide 45. Step 8, it's develop an overall priority vector. So for this overall priority vector, you need to multiply the criteria priority vector from step 7, which we have not completed yet, by the priority matrix from a step 6. So let's see how we can solve a step 7 and why we need to find it. Uh, okay, the easiest answer for me that I can give you is that this is the definition and this is what they propose to do. But let me think what was the idea before. I have never thought about it actually before, that why we are doing it here.
Actually, can I can, because I even don't know how to perform step 7. Can I know how to perform
Of
it
course.
first?
Okay,
The
okay, I'm
thing
gonna go through it. What's that?
I think the description in the lecture notes is quite hard to understand. So I think
Yes, yes. Yeah, I will go through it and let's go through it together. So this is not the description is that this is done in the same manner as that used to construct alternative pairwise comparison matrices. Okay, by using subjective ratings. Okay, something similarly. Normal matrix step 3 and develop a criteria priority network.
excuse me, I just lost the
Let
previous
me
few
check.
sentences.
Let me check.
So
What's that?
um
Sorry, my
I just
internet is
lost the previous few
bad today.
sentences.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What's that? Say again. Can you hear me? I don't know why. What happened to my?
Testing, 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 testing.
Yes, yes, yes. It was my problem, I guess. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, yes. I think it's okay now. Uh, okay. I have the solution of this tutorial. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Let me write it here. Uh, yes, I'm available. Let me start with Povai Wong. Uh, what is the meaning of consistency ratio? Actually, I just looked it up. I was a little bit curious about it as well. I doubted my knowledge. I just looked it up. Apparently, it doesn't have any meaning. It's just some measurement that somebody defined, and then they said, yeah, if it's less than 10%, then you are fine. It is consistent. Uh, this is my answer at this moment. But please do let me know if you found other information regarding your question. So about yes, please ask questions about Q2, please. Velin Shu.
May I ask for the question Q2? It first said that for the next 4 months of typhoon season, the estimate probability
Yes.
of facing typhoon is about 0.04 and 0.11. But
Yes.
for the sub condition in the build a new warehouse, it said that in 2 months, two just how to say is that the time decrease it only have 2 months, but the typhoon the probability that the typhoon happen increase. I can't understand why it can be like this. I think it's
Uh,
unreasonable.
yes. So
Or I
this is
misunderstand.
no. You understood it correctly. So I think it is safe to assume that probably like the estimated probabilities of facing a major typhoon is 0.04 for 4 months, right? But in the first 2 months, it's 0.05. Then for the next 2 months, it should have been 0.03, right? Which we do not care about.
What? How can the 0.03 come from? What?
So first of all, this is a hypothetical question, and but your question is quite accurate. I like that. So for let's say for the 4 months, the probability is 0.4. For the first 3 months, for the first 2 months, 0.5 for the first, let me say, for the second 2 months, 0.3. So I guess probably that's the reason, but this is just a hypothetical question. Just use the updated numbers for the option 2. Povai Wong, so it is just checked whether it is a reasonable alternative, then how the steps provided in the lectures come out. I didn't get your question. Can you elaborate more? Mr. Wong? Mr. or Ms. Wong?
Hello.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
I mean, I mean, is it for the contingency ratio? It's just check whether it is a reasonable alternative if it is more than 0.1. If so, actually, how the steps in the lecture notes are shown is like carrying the maximums and also using the random index.
Okay. I didn't understand your question. Can you say it one more time?
Because when we are determining the consistency ratios in the lecture notes, there are
Yes.
like 6 steps. But actually, I don't understand why we need to have like these kind of steps to calculate whether it's a reasonable alternatives or not.
So, like I I think you asked the consistency ratio. Yes, you were the one who asked about the consistency ratio. Sometimes in construction management or in the management area, people define some. Uh, this is just some definition. They did some studies. They came up with some numbers. They came up with some formulas, uh, and then they said, okay, find this parameter with this algorithm, and then if it's over 10%, like it is not it, if it's less than 10%, yes it is. And they came up with some solutions and then definitions for themselves. So most of sometimes there is no why. I really like the why questions. I really like them. uh, but in here, I don't think there is a why, there is a reason behind it. This is just some sort of definition that they came up with.
So it means that it's just empirical and then we just follow the step to find this ratio.
Yes.
Okay.
Or there might be something behind it. I'm not sure. I haven't read the original paper. Let me check if I can find the original paper, and then if I could, I will share it with you. Apparently, this is the paper. I haven't read the paper, though, I should tell you this. Let me check if it's the paper. I guess so. I guess this is the paper. Please give it a read and see if there is anything useful in it. Yes, this is the. I hope it's useful for you. Oh, apparently it's a new approach. Let me find the original approach. But yeah, anyway, it is an empirical, or there is something behind it that I do not know at the moment. What I know is that it is a process devised and invented by some people, and then they said, yeah, do it this way, and then find the value if it's more than 10%, if it's less than 10%. Yeah.
So may I ask another question about the question 2 in tutorial?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. I think that if typhoon happened, the Hong Kong dollar 1 million steel bar stock will be damaged, and thus Mr. B will lose Hong Kong dollar 1 million, right?
If a typhoon happens,
And
he
if a
will,
typhoon
yes.
happens and no warehouse like this,
there should be a warehouse, isn't it? Like, let me check. Are you talking about the third option?
yeah, like third option condition, no warehouse.
Let me check. If nothing happens, he's gonna lose 100,000. But if he loses 1 million, yes, he's gonna lose $1 million.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
my pleasure. Okay, everyone, time's up. It's 5:30. Please do let me know if you have any questions. You have my email. Please send me an email anytime about anything. Have a nice